Good day, everyone. We're the Group 4, and today we're going to present or to tackle about the different principles of ship handling and the significance of deadweight, draft, trim, speed, and underkill clearance, and especially the turning circles, and lastly, the stopping distance in ship handling. Okay, first, let's talk about the ship handling. So the most basic thing to be understood in ship handling is to know and to anticipate how a ship behaves under all circumstances and what order should be given in order to make the ship behave and move exactly the way you want her to. And the difference between the ship's heading and the actual direction of the ship or the actual direction of the movement of the ship should also be constantly attended to, as this is essentially important at slow speed and when there are wind and current. So there are three basic motions of the ship, which is the longitudinal motion, which is the forward or astern, and second is the lateral motion or sideways, and third is the rotational or returning motions. So there are some factors and forces that commonly constitute a change in a vessel's behavior while being maneuvered. So these are the external factors. First is tide. Second is a sudden direction of the wind or the velocity and direction, or which is we call the gust. And third is the set and drift. Yes, and fourth is the proximity of other vessels, and lastly is the depth of harbors. And the next is the internal factors or forces under the control of the ship handler. First is the engine power, second is the speed, third is the effect of the type of the propeller, and fourth is the rudder movement and type, fifth is the thrusters, sixth is the anchors and mooring lines, and last is the tugboats. And there are other variables affecting ship handling. First is the human factor. Second is the sudden breakdown of failure or failure of the ship's equipment. Third is the mode of communication, failure from bridge to engine room or vice versa, or to the fore and aft stations. Fourth is the language problem between nationalities. And lastly is the ship momentum.
Let's talk about how to handle ship in a better way. Ship handling is both a science and an art. Science because it requires knowledge of various forces acting on the ship. Art because it requires the skills of an experience it can only be achieved by learning both the science and art of the ship handling. To use these forces in his favor, it can only be achieved by learning both the science and art of the ship handling. So, in other words, ship handling it needs skills and experience. You cannot handle the ship better if you don't have the skills and the experience. Although you have the skills, but you are lack of experience, um, we can't say that you can handle the ship better because um, to make the people better or to make the person better, um, it needs a lot of experiences so that they can they know the techniques on how to handle that ship um, smoothly or in a better way. So just like for example, if you are um, going to learn or to drive um, a motorcycle. So you cannot drive it right away without any skills and experience. So it needs a lot of practice so that you can drive better. So that would be all.
I'm Kristen Rosales, and let's talk about the significance of the dead weights. So deadweight is the actual amount of weight in the tons that a vessel can carry when loaded, the maximum permissible draft, and that includes the fuels, fresh waters, gear supplies, hatch, and crew. Deadweight is very important on board ships because it defines as the maximum deadweight of the ship and measures of the ship's carrying capacity. And a large part of the deadweight is used for water ballast necessary to meet the stability requirements.
Significance of ship's draft. Draft determines the minimum depth of water a ship or boat can safely navigate. The related term air draft is the maximum height of any part of the vessel above the water. The more heavily a vessel is loaded, The deeper it sinks into the water and the greater its draft. So in other words, the draft, or it is also called a draught of a ship's hull, is the vertical distance between the waterline and the bottom of the hull, or this is what we call keel. The draught of the vessel is the maximum depth of any part of the vessel, including its appendages such as rudders, propellers, and drop keels if deployed. The draft can also be used to determine the weight of the cargo on board by calculating the total displacement of water, accounting for the content of the ship's bunkers, and using Archimedes' principle.
Significance of ship's trim. The trim of a ship describes its floating position and length direction. Namely, if the bow or the aft of the ship is deeper submerged into the water. The trim can have a significant impact on a vessel's energy demand for propulsion during sailing. So, this trim is the difference between the draughts forward and aft. So when the forward and aft draughts are the same, the ship is said to be an even keel, and this trim is an important consideration when loading and ballasting the ship.
Ship speed plays a very important role in various environmental factors as well as economic factors for the operator of the vessel. Speed of the ship has a nonlinear relationship with fuel consumption. The ship which will go slower will have fewer air emissions than a ship going faster.
My topic to be discussed is significance of underkeel clearance. Underkeel clearance is the distance of the ship keel from the bottom of the sea, and there are four factors that is involved in the determining the underkeel clearance. First is sea bottom. The sea bottom that is directly below the location of your ship. Second, chart determine the height of the lowest level of water written on a nautical chart, or sometimes you call it soundings. Third, high of tide. The increase of high of water, if it is positive or decrease. If it is negative, extract anytime from the tide table. Last is ship draft. The height of water measured from the level to the waterline.
Significance of ship's turning circles. The ship handler, for instance, should be aware of how long it will take for a vessel to become stopped in the water from a full ahead position, or how far the vessel will advance in turn. So turning circles and stopping distance or speed trials provides such essential information to those that control today's ships. So the diameter of a ship's stern depends on several factors in addition to rudder angle, and one of the most important of these is the water depth. For maneuvering, depth water can be assumed to have a depth of more than 5 times of the ship's draught. At 3 times the draught, the shallow water effects become significant, and as depth increases from twice the draught, these effects increase rapidly. So water depth thus influences maneuvering at time when misinterpreting its effects can be disastrous. So although in shallow water, resistance to ahead motion is increased, and it cannot be assumed that the ship can be stopped more quickly, the drag increase can be more than offset by an increase of the ship's virtual mass.
Stopping distance in ship handling. Stopping ability is the measure of the vessel capacity to stop within a certain distance, track which, when full engine astern, is applied to a vessel sailing at full test speed. So ship will continue to move after action is taken to stop the engines until the ship will come to rest. The stopping distance of a ship. Ship, like any other transport utility, does not have brakes to make them stop immediately. When the engine is given stop order, the ship will continue moving in the same direction due to the inertia and will come to stop after moving some distance. Ship takes longer to stop because of hull resistance, or the wind direction and sea condition also plays important role, as wind and waves acting from behind of the ship will increase the stopping distance and vice versa.
Examples: when the ship's hull has been due cleaning dry dock for longer time, the stopping distance and time will be less or compared to when the ship is just out of dry dock. This is because the hull resistance is more in ships with dry docks than long ago. It is important for navigation officers to know that the surroundings of each ship and how the ships will react to change in speed and loading condition. Only then he or she will be able to sail safe through all kinds of seas. Thank you.